like so many of you guys out there, yes, I'm absolutely fed up to the back teeth for the lockdown. I've been going through my files and files and files, and I thought, what type of fishing do I really enjoy in the winter? It's sort of beach fishing really. So here's a little clip. It's got everything I think you should know about British beach fishing. Thunderstorms, wind, weed, tough fishing, but salvage by a cook-up. So here's a little clip, guys. Sit back, enjoy, done my best to keep you amused. Fingers crossed it does for the next 35 minutes. Okay, I've got a couple of rods out, people, down here on the beach. It's on a big peninsula. I'll explain that in a minute. Now, I've been told I've never done any good on this beach at all, really. Bits and bobs, that's all I've ever done. And they do get some very big fish here. They've got, if you can see that over there, some form of dredger out there, which I had thought of moving areas because of the vibration of it, but hey ho, I've got no choice now. I set up, he moved off, then he's come back and anchored again, I suppose. I hope he's not digging, I don't know. He probably is, no, my luck. Yeah, he's throwing something over the side. Anyway, there's a different grip for you might want to look at there. This one's like a spring wire, and very, very long wires on it, so it'll dig in the beach in the tide here, and they get strong tides down here, right? But it's very springy, so you can wind them in, and what happens is you can move your bait. Now with a breakout grip lead, let me show you. For beginners, all for beginners, advanced people, toddle off, you won't want to be watching any of this, they obviously know it. Oh, here is a grip lead, right? You're anchored in the sand like this. When you wind or retrieve in with a fish on or not, these break free and it slides in. It can't grip again. Whereas this type, you can drag and move because they're always going to spring out so you can bring it in, but they're always going to hold out there. It's just a little tip for you, and I'm going to give it a try, and who knows, I'll probably lose it. Baits, I've got squid, I've got some ragworm here, look. Just got half a pound. A pound's a hell of a lot of ragworm. I figure I'm only going to get about 4 or 5 hours here. I don't even know when the tide turns if I'm going to get weeded out. There's a lot of weed on the beach. So what I'm going to do, well, it's just a tip, it's just what I do. Just rough the hook a bit if it's not a brand new hook. Get some spit and just smear it over the shank so that it pops a worm over easier. That's what I find, it'll slide round. Beginners, going through the fat end like this, then you can roll it around all the way up the shank like this. Try and keep the hook in the middle, pop it over the eye, Any little bits of towel you get that snap off, just get them back on there. Then what I'm going to do, get my trusty, put your bait thread in a box. I'm for everlasting losing it, it's a nightmare. I'm going to put one hook there, just see through that piece of squid. Lay the piece of squid on the underside of the hook, and then just lightly bind this together. If you bind it too tight, you actually cut the worm in half with a binding thread. So just lightly, just holds it in position. Look, it's just the way I do it. It's just the way I'm doing it. If I catch, great. If I blank, well, you can all fall off the armchair laughing at me. And the reason being, if there's crabs out there, there's a nice bait, look. If there's crabs out there, they can chew all this off, but they'll have a bit more job getting that squid off. And of course, a fish might come along in the meantime and eat the crab as well. So just get that wet there. In the fat end, this is where the pincers are, the fat end there. Get in there, my boy. You know you love it. Thread him up the shank. Pop him over the eye of the hook. I'll put the rest of the worm up. Just hook it once, just lightly through there, you see. Now, tempting to put it on the back, but I don't. I swing it and put it on the underneath, because I feel it keeps that point a little bit sort of clearer. You do want the hook point clear. I did have one bite out there, I must admit. Very, very small whiting type of bite, but the last time I fished it, well, I've never done any good here, trust me. But there are some really good fish here, there's no question. But you need to be local to know the tides and fish at night and all that. Probably go into a bit of darkness. Back in there. All ready to go. It's a 2-hook rig. So it stands up like this. There's the worm. There's the other one. This one can be clipped down there if I want to, but I'm only going to lob it out. So if you did want to, look, you can see the little clip there I've got. I can clip that worm just onto, hopefully you can see this, people, I'm trying to do it one-handed, onto the tag end there, and then when it hits the sea, it bumps off like that. Now you could put 2 of those on if you want, I don't bother, but what I have been told by the guy in the tackle shop, he said don't cast too far. He said if you wang it out a long way, because this place is known to be snaggy, put it out a long way, he said you're actually going to be on a shelving up area. He said you're not about 70 yards out and there's a bit of a dip, so we give it a go anyway. So they tell me a couple of nights ago it's very rough here. They had a match, they didn't catch a lot on it. Keep an eye on the waves, it looks flat, but they're very, very strong tides here. So I'm watching it wash up in here, and you can see all the weed down here, which I feel I'm going to get, when the tide turns, I'm going to get snagged up with. Let's whiz down quick in between these waves, and I'm hoping I could just wang that out there. Now when it goes the other way, I'm going to have to turn around and it's going to pull back the other direction. So what I want is, at the moment, hopefully the tide is just getting there, well, it's getting there slack high. I think it's coming up a bit more. Then it's going to head the other way, so it push my lines across. I might throw one out in that bay as well. So I'm out by the dredger over there, which is probably, might be the kiss of death, who knows. He's making a right churn up noise, I'm sure it's not going to do me any good. It looks like he's lifting some huge massive pipe out of the water or something. Piece of rubbish by the look of that. Maybe he's got the transatlantic cable to America and it's going to snap and there'll be no Twitter feed from the president. Who knows? Or it could be a huge conger eel they've got. I think I'm going to throw this one out in the middle there, because it doesn't seem like the tide's pulling too badly at the moment. So I'm going to go around the other side of the breakwater here. And this one, look, I've made a squid and ragworm combos. There, squid on one side, ragworm on the other. Who knows? Right on the middle. But look here, all this is going to go around my line, I feel, on the ebb tide. I may be wrong, so I could be losing a lot of gear. If I do, at least I'm hopefully going to get 2 or 3 hours in where I could catch something. As usual, beach fishermen in the UK, we are looking to save the blank. And a man out there with his machine is still fighting with some cable or other. Now that's the one I had a big bang on, and that's been out best part of an hour. I think I'll wheel this one in and throw it out again. I'm notorious for leaving baits out too long. I'm looking at the buoy over there, and it looks like it's slightly pulling this way. So maybe the ebb tide has actually started here. And they do fishing off here. You can see boats there, winches. All these houses got a lovely view in the mornings. And boats all up here, and there's a sort of commercial fish area down the bottom there. Oh wow, wow, wow. Look at the rod, look at the rod, look at the rod. Missed him. What the hell was that? Now, that one, okay, I had the bite. I struck, but I haven't tripped the lead out because it's got those long wires like this on it. That was a good bite. Maybe I need smaller hooks. Where's Smith? Is he round here somewhere? He should have told me about that bite. There's no point in employing his services if he's not watching. I've got a feeling this guy's going to come back and bother me again. That was a hammering bite. But you see, I've been able to strike. I missed it. Maybe I should have left it a bit longer. Maybe I should do smaller hooks. We shall find out. Oh, I feel a lot of weed on here, or a fishy. You can never really tell, beach fishermen. Sometimes you don't actually know whether you've got a fish or you've got weed. I suppose I'm tempted to say it's weed, but I'm going to keep it moving. I do not want to get snagged. I do not want to lose gear. You just have to hope that you get a fish in and out. If you do, before somebody comes up, they see you with a fish. Oh my God, talking forever. That's weed, I feel. Oh, hang on a minute, folks, hang on a minute. I thought that earlier bite was a fish. I've got a chunk of weed, and I've got, oh my God, I've got. Oh, we saved the blank, people. There we go. Nice whiting on the top hook, and that was on the combo. That was on the combo baits there. So he can go back. Oh, hold still, buddy. I reckon that was what was on that other one. There's the bait, so I can use that again. And there's a whiting. Well, daytime whiting. It's got to be something of a rarity, I know. Dare I even hope in the distance there might be a chance, after all the rough weather blow that we've had there could be a chance of a COD. Goodness me. Bit of weed there, but listen, fish as well. Right. Renewed enthusiasm, I feel. So I wonder if that's true about not wanging it quite as far. It appears maybe 70 yards, he said, is about right, but I guess is that from low water or from high water? It's a job to say. Didn't seem that far. It seemed about 60 yards to me. It didn't look that far. Listen, that's where the fish was. The man might be right. Maybe casting too far. A, you get the snags, and B, it shelves up, so you're up on a bank. This guy's not dredging. He's putting in a huge buoy, which I think is for the lifeboat. So that's why he's moving around. So he's not dredging. He's not stirring up the bottom, which is good. Oh, another point on the other rod, people. Look, that's slack liner. Oh, quick, Graham, quick. Now, that grip is also handy, because if you get a slack liner, that grip is still holding the hook in, if that makes sense. That was a definite bite I saw on that one. So the fish is going along, it would normally break the lead out. If he doesn't, this one's going to be dragging all the time. How slack is that? Not that slack. Very tippy rod, this one. I wonder if I'm going to be stuffed when it ebbs and it's going to be too strong for me. Well, boys, a result, a fish to start with. And I should be having a cook up as well. Now another tip is, there's two different rods here, they cast different weights. One on the right is very, say, stiff, the one on the left is softer. If you get a build up of weed, it's going to pull the rod, look, I'm just moving this like this over and over and over, it's going to curve around. If it's doing it slowly, it's because the weed is hitting the bow in the line, sliding down that line till it gets to the lead, and it will just build up, and you get more and more and more of a pull. So if you're getting it pulled too much, you might as well wheel in, strip the weed off and cast out again. Obviously, bites generally will be much sharper. A slow pull down, to me, especially seeing the weed on the beach here, would indicate weed. Over there where they're doing that, moving that massive buoy, I feel they're doing that at slack tide. I can't see how they would possibly do it with the big tides they get round here, because they've had enough trouble manoeuvring it as it is. So I'm figuring the tide now has turned. There's a buoy out there, a white one, an orange one. I can see the water pulling off of that. So I figure the tide's turned. I just hope I'm not going to be just one whiting and then I'm going to get weeded out and snagged. I think I'm going to check this one here. And even better, it's starting to rain. I'm trying to keep it coming quickly so that I can get it off the seabed. I don't want to get any snags. It's obviously where all those buoys and that are. Oh, it's a bit of a strange one. I'm thinking to treat this. It might be a potential fish. Let's not mock. Let's not mock yet. Hang on a minute. Weed doesn't often fall back. I mean, I had that down as weed all day long, but it might be weed and a fish. I don't know. It's pulling now. So the reel's about to seize up. That is most peculiar. Oh, it's weed. I could have sworn blind there was a fish on there as well. Obviously not. Strange. I'm still not altogether sure there's not something on there. Here comes a booty. No, it's a garget. Isn't it funny, I was talking about weed. You can see it built up on the line. It pulled the bow down in the rod too evenly. So we're going to drag it up, sort it out, throw it out. There's no point letting it build up even more. Otherwise you're going to trip the lead out. And then you won't be able to, wind it back in. And this is where, for beginners, generally if you've got a leader, it nearly always jams here on the leader knot. So don't try and snap it through the rings because it will just break. Strip it off on the ring, tip ring, and then you can wind down and strip the rest off. Well, even if we aren't catching too many fish, the beginners must be getting a few tips there. Look, see again, the swivel, the weed comes down on the swivel, the hooks, and I did think that, but there are fish out there, boys, because that's been stripped. My hook's there, look, probably every 30 minutes. I'm going to have to, looking at this weather, get the old survival shelter up pretty soon. Here we go, boys, there's another one. Oh yeah, this one's hooked just right. He's hooked, look at that. He's hooked by the ear. And do you know what he was? He was listening to it, and I was listening at the other end. We both heard each other at the same time, so I struck. So another whiting. Well, I'll get a hook in the finger. Just a small one. Just a small whiting, but he can go back. So, I think we're at the top of the tide now. I hope so, because I set the base camp up right there. And I'm hoping there's going to be no surge of waves coming up, because otherwise it's going through the cameras and all the equipment and everything. There you can see the rubber band. That's the homemade elastic band grip leads I make up. They pull free like that, and it's just a reset. It's just a regular bomb mould. Drill out for the wire. It's about 18 gauge SWG wire, spring wire, and you can tension it up as you want with the number of turns on the rubber band. Yeah, like that. In fact, I'm not even going to bother to alter those baits. Pull that weed off. Those two squid and mackerel combos can go out again. I'm trying to fish in between the groins now, but I don't know whether I'm going to get dragged or not. That's my problem. Out we go. It's tipping gradually. It's not actually tipping with rain, but it is raining. It's not nice. It's a very grisly old day. We're just going to lump that out. Not the world's greatest, but there you go. If it's got a fish, it's got a fish. End of. It's not some big fashion contest. A lot of guys think it must be some sort of fashion contest, casting and everything. I think you'll find catching fish is what it's about. Now, just look at this one on the left. Softer rod. Throw, say, 5 ounces maximum. It's pulled right over. Now, the tide is running, but I feel there's weed build up on it. But I haven't seen any bites, so I'm not going to give that one too long before I actually change it, bring it in and pull the weed off. Otherwise, the weed will bump that one, drag the lead out, and it'll crash into the other one. And then it's one awful mess. I'm relatively comfortable and dry in there now. Stuff's a bit wet. Let me get this one out. Go for this one, I think, boys. That one's banging away. It's stopped now, but well, no, I think there might be a fish on this one. Someone's kicking and banging. I don't think the leg's tripped out. I don't think it's tripped out yet. Fingers crossed, another fish. I think I've got my other rod as well. Oh, happy days. Well, I've got my other line here, so there we go. There's another whiting, small one. I've got to sort this out because the weed has just done what I said it would do. It's taken one line into the other. Oh, booty number one, people. Booty number one. I love it. Like I say, here's a tip for beginners. You've probably seen me make sure that the drag is set so that a fish can't pull the whole lot in. If I do, which I don't very often, we get a very big fish, you could take the lot in. But what you want to do is, rather than just put the whole line and the rod blank in the cup holder bit of your rod rest here, because you'll be testing it and that still sticks because the blank is pushing against the line there. So I do this, I put it around the front so that it's coming down from the rod ring straight onto the reel drag here, and it's nice and smooth. Obviously, when you go to strike, you've got to remember two things. One, to tighten the drag up. B, just to lift your hand to get the line around. Otherwise, you're going to pull the line into the rod rest. Just my way of doing it. If you want to do it this way and pinch your line against there, be my guest. I don't. I like to go that way, but you've got to remember just to keep that space around there when you pick the rod up. Well, it's a bit peculiar, people, because the bites have tailed off in the last hour or so. I was getting quite a lot of whiting, getting quite a few. Some I didn't film, I didn't bother filming because they're all pretty much the same size. and I don't understand, the bites have just died on me. So I've got a couple of really big baits, the whole what we call the custard, the inside intestines and everything of one squid. I've lashed that on because I figure it's nice and juicy and maybe a big bass will pick it up. I don't know whether to go down to very small hooks because I'm not getting the bites now. It's bizarre. And the seas, oh, left hand rod, just as I spoke there. Small little rattle on that rod there. That could be the one where they're pecking at the big bait. So you run the risk. Do you put a big bait out and just have little fish constantly pecking at it? Or do you put small hooks out with small baits that the big fish just don't smell and swim on right past it? Sort of catch-22. I think I'd sooner have a decent bait out there and let the little ones nibble away at it. I've got about half an hour before it gets dark, and I rushed out and forgot my headlamp. Luckily, I've got a spare one in the car. It's not a very good one. I'd use it for odd jobs. Don't forget headlamps. I have got, obviously, my camera battery, so that'll help me quite a bit. I think I'm going to fish on for a couple of hours of darkness anyway, because I'm not too bad for weed. I might get lucky. Not an unpleasant evening. Could be big waves, it's not. Well, I am starting to get some bites now. I'm guessing for more whiting, because they generally come in, you know, when it gets dark. But this is a fairly urbanised beach, you would call it. The houses are right next to me. And I've noticed this before. When I fish this urbanised area, it gets like dusk and I'm getting all switched on thinking I'm going to catch a fish because there's, you know, low light levels. And the low light levels bring people out to have their cigarette because they don't want to smoke in the house, I would guess. So they come out and they sit just up the beach somewhere from me, generally about 100 yards away, something like that. And sometimes it's pitch black, they don't know I'm here because I don't put lights on all the time. And they're having their cigarette and you see a little glow in the dark and you go, well, that's not the Marlboro Cowboy type of cigarette, is it? You know, that's not the old school cigarette. That's one of those newfangled modern cigarettes, you know, like West African's finest tulip flavoured whatever. And I mean, do they smoke this stuff outside to stop the house smelling of it, or does their partner, wife or girlfriend in the house, not realise, oh, I'm just going out for a cigarette, dear? Out they come and whoop, maybe that's what they're doing. And when they go back in, wifey says, oh, is it cold out? No, it's lovely, darling. It's wonderful out there. I mean, I can smell this stuff from a couple of people, but 150 yards away, and the wind's drifting this way. I can smell it from here. Ganges finest. I wish I could catch some finest fish. That's all I need. Here is the ultimate double whammy. You couldn't ask for better than this. This is called an urban double catch. Really nice whiting, and being urban, a really nice load of toilet paper. I tell you what, it's enough to make you really browned off, isn't it? Oh dear. Anybody got a long distance or a pair of surgical gloves? Let's get the fish back anyway. Still catching whiting and paper. Ooh. I started getting the whiting again, and I got this one, ragworm squid combo there. This is a nice whiting, but it's on that wired lead I showed you when we first started, and I kept getting little tapping bites, and I could bump it all the time and yet still hold out in the tide with this. So I could actually move and tighten up and move and tighten up, and they'd spring open like this and still retain contact. So there's a tip there for you, quite an important one if you're fishing in tidal areas. And let's get this wiggly guy back in the water. So, can I get this guy back in the water? He's not big enough to eat. I mean, I could eat him, but he's not really big enough. I've got a nice piece of pollock with me, and I'm going to try some mashed potato as well. It's raining. I've seen a lot of lightning about. Let's get this guy back. Let's get cooking, because I think I'm going to get blasted out by a storm. There's huge thunderstorms out at sea, guys. I can hear them crashing. I've got to get this done pretty quickly. Let's get that oil on the go. She's given me a knob of butter. How generous. One thing missing, my fish. I've put it in with the bait, so it's going to be, well, shall we call it interesting in taste? It's a beautiful piece of pollock. Now listen, this pollock, look at the size of that fillet, boys. Put that there. Look at the size of that fillet. That is superb. I've already eaten some of it with the wife. Kept a piece back just for this job. And it's going to get cooked in there, and I might even get some mash as well. If I can get that, I might want that a little bit hotter. Let's get that melted. It's going to sizzle big time. Guy sent me this, a carved spoon. Thought I'd never use it. I would never use it because it would be so far here from my mouth I'd never be able to get the coordination going. Oh my goodness, there's a big thunderstorm coming. This might not be a wise decision, Graham. Might not be a wise decision. Just had a text from Wayne, he's out on the boat. He said, Graham, don't disturb it, don't disturb it, don't keep moving this fish. Am I going to get this? Oh, the thunder. You want to hear it? You won't hear it with this microphone. It's pretty epic. I've got a feeling I'm going to be trapped here and the rod's going to be left out. I'm doing just what Wayne said don't do, disturbing it. And I've got this here because the wind's coming up with this storm. Like this. Hopefully, if I extend that up, you'll be able to see what it does. As you can see there, it just shelters it and pushes that temperature up a good bit. Beautiful bit of fish. I've got to go about 40 yards in the dark. Let's tune that down. Got to go a long way to cast the rods out and walk them back up. I can't be bothered, to be honest, to walk those rods all the way down, put the tripods down there. Just going to work away in here. Basically, I've seen the flashing going up on the outside. I'm starting to lose sight of some of the ship's lights out there, which is not a good sign. That means the rain's coming in. So I'm going to be real lucky to get away with this now. I've got rods out there, you won't see them. I'll turn it around. You probably won't see those there. You might be able to see them, and I can see the rain going past now. So if I do get a bite, I fear I won't be wanting to get in for a minute. Unless it's a big one. I think it's disaster time. I'm going to have to bring the camera light in. It's going to be a real nightmare doing this now, guys. So with the dog eating the bait, all that's left is this and a few ragworms. So I'm going to eat this, and that's going to be me done. But it is nice. I think you'd agree there. And that's what the dog smelt, I should think, this. Closely followed by the old squid, half the elasticated thread, and a bit of rag I think he ate. He's going to have a lovely time doing his number 2s tomorrow. Gonna have to go to the head cam, people. The rain's coming. I've got to bring this in here. All I can do is briefly, very briefly, hopefully you can see behind the shelter that I can take that off now. Here is my fish. And you can see, absolutely done to a turn there. If I can get it off, that would be nice as well. I'm going to have to pass on the mashed potato, I feel. I can't see that's going to work. If I put this down, that dog's going to come and lick that up like hot soup. Good luck to him. Probably eat that rag as well when he comes around. I think I've also lost my fork. I think the dog's taken the fork as well. Oh well. It is what it is. So you can see this pollock has absolutely broken apart. The storm's coming in big time, people. Oh no. Oh no, look at this. I'm in big trouble. Even the camera pole's shaking out there. I've had the fish. I'm now reheating that. I'm going to put some water in there which is out my flask. No idea if this is going to work. It says heat that up, and I'm trying to make some mash here out of packet stuff while this storm's on. I'm only going to get soaking wet when I pack up, so as you can see, this was flat calm about 15 minutes ago. Not now. I'm going to get soaked if I go out there, but I don't see any rod tops twitching whatsoever. I'm not even sure the lines are in the water, the tide's gone that far out. But I'm cosy in here, I think. Yeah, that's heating up. We'll see what happens anyway. Life is one big experiment at times. See what happens. Packet's gone in. I'm going to stir it around. Now this apparently does make... Oh yeah. This apparently does make... Look at that, boys. Oh, what a shame I didn't... What a shame I tipped it on the gravel. I've got the torch in one hand. I was wondering... Look, it's making mashed potato. I don't believe that. Wowee. It is actually making mashed potato. They said stir it and stir it and stir it. And that is exactly what I'm doing. With my wooden spoon, because I don't want any trouble from the anti-Teflon brigade. That's a lot. What a good job I didn't put 2 packets in there. My goodness me. Now I couldn't do this at the same time as a fish, but you can see pollock and mashed potato are definitely on the cards. And the storm. It's just like fried potatoes we used to have years ago. Bubble and Squeak. Who remembers Bubble and Squeak? Anybody remember Bubble and Squeak? Some of you older guys know Bubble and Squeak, sure. No, they're not a cartoon couple. God, trying to do this one hand is difficult. Well, you can see I'm left with my mashed potatoes, people. I think I just had a bite up there. The things I do to make a film, look at it. Blowing a gale. I'm trapped in here, my little bivouac. Thanks for watching the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. I'm going to get on with my mashed potato here. Survive through this storm, I hope. And we'll see you guys. I hope got this steak down. In the next show, hit the subscribe button, hit Mike's TA Outdoors. And tonight, you know what I'm going to get? Very wet.